This session is about how you can gauge the success of your initiative, how to measure things. And as a researcher, this is my favourite place. So Vanessa, I believe, is handing around my little resting place, which was the 2 slides that Robert and I had talked about last week that she was going to be talking about. So I'll speak to them, but they'll come around and you can see those. So the first part of the handout refers, and all I'd like to frame about it is that interdependence of individual, community and structural features that contribute to mental health and wellbeing. And so measuring these things aren't simple, neither are these initiatives, and so I'm not claiming to have all the answers, but I'm hoping to give some ideas and stimulate the discussion that's going to go forward. So the bottom part of the handout has what is a classic program logic model, and it might be familiar to a lot of you. And I guess one of the things about them is they can be really lovely documents that you stick in a bottom drawer, or they can be a living, breathing plan that you adhere to, that you measure, that you really reflect back on. And so the challenge is how do you build one with your community that makes sense, that you can reflect on, that you can take to the next place. So I'll leave the reading of that to you, and I guess the thing that I want to frame and look at is what things do you want to be measuring and monitoring? Because we can all focus on the end goal. I just want to reduce suicides, we'll measure that and that's it. But actually it's a very narrow view, very fraught, probably low numbers. So you want to take back those extra steps. And some of that stimulus can come from the document I didn't bring up here, which is, this one. And so it's just that framing about where in the places we might want to consider where our impact lies. And that's, whilst at the pointy end we lose more than 3,000 people a year to suicide, the next step on is more than 78,000 people attempt to take their life, and it goes on and out into that sort of ripple effect. So something to consider around how we measure. And so what I would like from the group is in these discussions for you to really look through those documents that we've got there, put them through its paces, tell us what we haven't got right, tell us what's missing, what would really help. And I guess the other thing I want to frame is we've got 2 things going. So if we want to look at how our community is going, there's many dimensions in which we might want to be monitoring. And so we've got a cute little graphic, but the question is whether the information is helpful, whether it could in itself could be a useful way to start measuring progress. And so that one, it says, how is your community going? And so you can start to look across the dimensions you're looking at. We've talked already today about social connectivity, about providing safe spaces, about whether people have access to doing nice things and that kind of thing. So that'd be my second point around how does that sort of framework look like? Does that look like a doable prospect? Would it be helpful? And I think one of the things that is often overlooked and is critical for these sorts of initiatives because it's a long game and it takes time, and I believe there's lots of false starts or there's periods of inertia and there's times when you're losing track on how you're going, is to actually make sure that you're measuring how your collaborative is going. So how do you make sure that you systematically watch, measure, review and see the health of that collaborative and see, have we got everyone we need in the room? Is the community with us? Are we sharing enough with them? Are we meeting regularly enough? Do we have a sense of we're losing some people? Or when you do a review, you realise you don't have everybody in the room. And also, are you managing the power dynamics? Are you being equitable? Even if you've got them in the room, have they got the right voice? So in the second document, this one here, how your collaborative is going, we've thought about different ways that might be teased out and how you might want to measure that. And I guess what I really like in this discussion period is for you to look through that too, saying, well, if you've got a big group of people with a lot of different interests and thoughts about how they want this thing to go forward, how do you make sure everyone's got a voice in the room and that you're working towards those goals together and that you can maintain your momentum